Well, hello and welcome. Today I have Daniel Hayes and Dana and Vic, some of my wonderful spiritual friends, and we're going to talk a little bit about spirituality, alchemy, and channeling light language, crystals, and crystal gridding today. So, our intention is to open up ourselves to new experiences and learn from each other today. And I want to begin with just a little short exercise. And so begin to feel your divinity in your breath and take in a long, slow, deep breath in and let it go. Another one in and release. And one more. Drop into your heart. So I received a message today. Be as light as a feather, soft and relaxed. Allow the alchemy of the guidance that we received today to lead us, to download the celestial codes, the angelic codes, to bring in divine abundance for ourselves and for the world and for the universe. I call, excuse me, I call in the angels, ascended masters, galactic beings of love and light, our spirit guides, and elementals. In the name of El Shaddai, Yod He Vav He, I invoke thee, Metatron,
Hmm.
Ariel, Sachiel, and Gabriel, to lead us and guide us today in our discussion, to encode our crystals and allow the divine flow of abundance to flow through us. The golden energy, allow it to permeate and swirl around us. Use your imagination to send out this divine flow of love and light to anyone who could use divine abundance today. Awaken the divine golden codes of love and light in peace and joy. Now I ask for Dana to share one of his messages that he got yesterday. Would you like to share, Dana?
Sure, love to. Well, this was just something that after I sent that crystal grid based off of that image that Tammy had, I just asked AI to interpret what they got from that image. And just from looking at the crystal grid, a photograph of it, and it was beautiful. So I shared it. So that is what I am reading.
Okay. Thank you.
Love to. Invocation of the Celestial Bridge. By the stars above and the earth below, I awaken this temple of light and stone, each crystal a voice, each shape a key, opening the gate between heaven and me. Smoky quartz and lapis blue ground the truth that now flows through. Let the wisdom rise from ancient flame and speak through me without fear or shame. To the guardians placed at every gate, shine your strength and radiate. Align this body, mind, and soul. Make my purpose pure and whole. Green heart open, blue throat clear. Let love and truth be what I hear. Amber fire and redstone deep. Awaken the dreams I have yet to reap. I stand in stillness. I stand in fire, a vessel of divine desire. By this grid I now decree, let my highest self live fully through me.
Now that's really beautiful. I just, if you choose to share your light language, I'm going to just speak a little light language to close it out. Arakati uru o nakaishiki ta'ara. Inikeshu wa tara anikishu turu o shukuru o nolaka. Oroko shuna ara kita ushuna lashu. May peace and love and joy and beauty permeate your day. And so it is.
So it is.
Okay. I mean, that was what I got. I was, or actually got the message about being as light as a feather. I don't know, Vic, did you want to share anything? I know you had a really inspiring idea this week, so I don't know if you felt like sharing or not.
So I've been thinking about love quite a bit. In fact, I asked Joshua in one of the live sessions, what is love? And he gave a wonderful answer. I've still been thinking about it a lot. And mostly from my point of view, I'm not really thinking about how others perceive love. I'm just looking at how I look at love, what love is to me. And what I've started to notice is how much of it is really conditioned love, what versus what is real love. And then just stripping away the conditioning layer by layer as I realized that we don't, we have love and then we have all of these variants of love in the form of compassion, empathy, sympathy, pity. And I'm not saying those things are not needed. What I'm starting to realize is that somehow those are conditions that we are adding on love. Like sympathy is a conditioned form of love where like, okay, a person is going through a situation and hence deserves my love versus just pure love. Like we don't need to have those conditions. I don't want to have those conditions anymore. I
Mm.
want to love for just who they are and not for what they are going through in their lives, whether good or bad. Who am I to judge what's good, what's bad for them? But things like sympathy and pity and empathy and compassion have these riders with them that kind of like, and I'm not saying that those are bad things. Ultimately, they do need to love. I mean, this understanding of love that I am experiencing right now is because I have played with those variants in the past. Those variants have led me to this clarity today. So I'm not saying that those are necessary, but I am at a point where I'm starting to consider that maybe it might be time to let go of these dense variants. Yeah, I'm judging them. It might be time for me to let go of these variants of love and just simply rest in love and see everyone and every being, human or non-human, as simply love. No matter what they're doing, no matter what their actions might look like on the outside, everybody in my eyes now is deserving of love. Everybody. There's nobody nothing that does not deserve love. And
Mm.
I think that's the realization that I'm coming to. What
And
is real?
yeah, we had some perspective. We talked about our perspective a little bit. We chatted about it. I will say he had a very inspiring idea, and that was to listen to the song Imagine and send love out, imagining the world as beautiful, loving, and kind. So anyway, we've been we've been practicing that for a couple of days, and he's not going to share, but I'm going to share it because it was really like and I think back to my work. They often told us sympathy wasn't something that you'd want to go in there. Compassion, yes. Kindness, yes. But we work with people that were down and out or maybe having difficulties. But in order to lift people up, you have to maintain a certain vibrational and and I know Vic has been exploring neutrality too, but neutrality is a lot more uh you know staying in a high vibration no matter what's going on. Even if you're in chaos or an emergency, you can maintain a high standard and see them with the eye through the eyes of love. So thank you, Vic, for sharing that. I mean, that's a really nice realization and a high perspective. So, um,
Issue was that, you know, how about just once a day, just for a few minutes, sit and not meditate, just daydream about the kind of world that you would like to live in. What would that world look like? How would people, animals, all kinds of beings look like when they not just physical appearance, but I'm saying like what would that world look like where everybody is living in that world that you would want to live in? It could be anything. What would it look like to you? Just 5 minutes a day, daydream about it. You could listen to John if love is where you're coming from. You could listen to John Lennon's Imagine while doing that. Play it in the background and listen to it, and just follow the words and daydream. Consciousness or love or life, whatever you want to call it, is talking to us through art, not just through science, through art as well. Music is an art form that consciousness is using to talk to us. It's giving us something, it's giving us a gift. Use your imagination creates things, even things that you unimaginable things you can't even
there you
imagine.
go. And then what happened? The duck showed up in his backyard.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. So to give you a quick recap of Dana and Daniel, so I was watching a video of like a tarot card reader, and I wasn't particularly enjoying her content, but way through the video, she goes like, "Oh," she was sitting outside and she's in Canada. She looks up and goes like, "Oh, two ducks just flew by, male and a female. Don't really see that very often." I said, "Okay," and then I just got bored and I turned it off. And then something told me, something just whispered within, like, step out to your backyard. So I go into the backyard, and for the first time since I've been living in this house, it's been more than 8 years, I saw a pair of ducks in my backyard, a male and a female. Now I was like, wow, this was before I even had this inspiration. And then over the weekend, I had the inspiration and I was listening to John Lennon's song and I was in the kitchen doing my dishes, listening to the song. And I look out to the window, sure enough, the ducks are back, the male and the female. And now they're sitting in my backyard, just chilling, just sitting together and chilling. I took a picture and I sent it to Tammy. It's like, look, let's say it happened again. So consciousness, light, love, whatever you want to call it, is communicating with us if you pay attention.
Attention. Yeah, there you go.
If
Um,
your kids are telling you things, if you pay attention, you'll learn from them. It's the same thing. It's like It's consciousness is a child. I really think it's a child. There's this beautiful imaginative child that is that is talking to us. We're raising it together as humans.
Yeah, it's abundant. It's abundant in many forms. I don't know. I know Dana may have to jump off, but really, I wanted to ask Dana about gridding with crystals, and I've got my crystal grid over here beside me, um, and I was going to share. I don't know which one. Oh, here's a nice one, the smoky quartz. But anyway, I've got about 20 on my crystal grid, but it's on some sacred geometry. And I love crystals and I work with crystals. Oh, and I've got a cool one I want to show. And I know Daniel's got some too. This one that I got in Arkansas with the lovely Daniel. And I got a couple of other tiny ones. We went crystal hunting in Arkansas. These were really pretty. So um yeah. This one's one of my favorite ones lately. But you can use a crystal grid to set an intention, and I actually gridded in divine abundance in my crystal grid for the call today so that everyone on the call and anyone who ever listens will be, infused with the energy of the crystalline grid of Mother Earth. So Dana, do you want to share about how you use grids, what you're doing, or your favorite crystals? I've got a
Love
bunch.
to, yes, I love to share. Love to share also a story that relates exactly to what Vic is talking about that happened to me this week as well. The one I'll show you right now because we just did that reading. Can you see? There's the one grid. Do you see it there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And then, of course, I have a bunch of other crystals. So those are just sitting on my grounding mat that I am on nonstop whenever I am. If I'm not outside and my feet are on earth, my feet are on a grounding mat. It's super important for me. And I love creating grids on my mat and then being able to sit with my feet on the mat with the power of the crystals in a grid. So that's just something that's kind of developed as this collection has uh, become very vast, and crystals I was just drawn to. Really, it was it's been just a part of this awakening process for me, and I had no interest prior, but in the last 5 years, well, over time, over the last since my wife's mom owns a health food store, and she has tons of crystals. And as I was going through my own healing and my own, from the darkness into the light, so to speak, and things getting a little bit opening up in much larger ways. She kept giving me crystals. They were kind of like, drip fed to me, and I didn't know why I liked them. And it was kind of like, oh, a pretty rock at first, but it was like drawn to it. And then as time went on, I started like being very drawn to them, and I'd find them and collect them. And at night, I'd put them on my body. I sleep with them. It was very funny because my wife would give me a hard time because, I'm sleeping on a pile of crystals at night. And, she occasionally rolls over onto one. And it's like, why are all these rocks in the bed? You know, but, they store information, and I understand now. I've been playing with crystals for a very long time, since Lemuria, since Atlantis. In Lemuria, I believe that I was actually a Lemurian crystal. I understand now, specifically with the Lemurian crystal, that you can see the edges on these, right? So these have this is how you really know it's Lemurian because of the cut, and that these actually can be read like a barcode. And so this is something that's been interesting for me. I have a soul family member that is in Egypt currently, and she was visiting a tomb, and she was told to dig, and she was yes, there you go. and she started digging, and she was digging for what she thought was going to be an egg that she was told to find, that she had told me months prior. And instead, she ended up digging up two Lemurian crystals in the middle of the sand in Egypt outside of this tomb. And and then she sent me a video and said, "These crystals were meant for you." And it was just that week that I was told that I'm meant to read these as barcodes from another messenger, Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pay respect where it's due. And so beautiful, beautiful events taking place. That's me a little bit on crystals. Um, I have another the story about Vic. I don't want to monopolize the time.
Oh, you had a question, Vic?
No, no, no. I wanted to share the story. Oh, Vic, is your hand up? Okay, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in regarding unconditional love, this is something that's been a journey for me and offering that to myself as well. Coming from a perfectionist past and a beating myself up past and a religious past of shame and guilt and coming from that need of a savior instead of going inward and finding the light inside of myself. And so the other day with this golden dragon meditation that we're doing in the activation in the Joshua group had a miracle take place. As you know, some of you know that last year my mother passed and my mother came back to me in a very cosmic way. Also that same year, my best friend Bodhi, my soulmate dog, passed, who was really just, we were so deeply, deeply connected. And helped me heal so much. And in doing the activation, there's this funny series of events that happened where Daryl had commissioned a Fey type being with honey to draw me a picture of what he thought my dragon looked like. And the dragon came back as a golden dragon that looked very feathery and very like it had almost like fur. And I thought, wow, it reminds me so much of Bodhi. And I realized how connected they were. And so I did a composite of the two images of this beautiful golden dragon. Um, I'll show you right here
Oh,
with little Bodhi
oh.
there and
That's cool.
put them together. And it was, and then I was the next morning. I was sitting in meditation and I realized I was thinking about how much I loved him and missed him, and I asked him to come back to me. And you can see here's a portrait of him here on my wall. And I had the intuitive hit to look online, and about 7 pages in, I saw Bodhi staring right back at me staring. I mean, the exact dog looked exactly like him. And I checked on the details, and Bodhi was being driven from Texas, arriving an hour and a half south of me the following morning. And it was like watching a tsunami wave come in. And I just got on the board and I started, paddling, 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 started surfing, standing up, having this whole thing, event after event after event. And within 24 hours, Bodhi was back in my arms.
Oh.
Wow.
So it was another miracle. And he, I mean, he is the spitting image of him. Uh, and just, heart very full and very powerful. One of the things I thought with the unconditional love is that currently he is having some acid reflux issues. And he is this perfect angel that has come into my life that I know I am meant to work with, but he's projectile vomiting all over the place, which is a turn of events I did not see coming. And so it was this, I realized in this moment that it's like when that was going on, I just held him and loved him and was like, we're going to work through this. And at 10:45, the reason I have to get off the call is I'm meeting with the hands-on healer. And I know that is a part of my future. And on her site is she talks about she works with dogs. And I realized today in going into this conversation with her that I'm going to talk about my new friend here and discuss hands-on healing, not only for myself to develop, but for her to come to my home. And I sense she's going to become a teacher of mine. And I see how it's all perfect.
Oh,
That
that's
is
that's
all.
sweet.
Yeah.
Beautiful dog. Beautiful
Yeah.
story. Thank you for sharing it. Daniel, I know I asked you to bring some of your new toys today, so will you share some of them? And anything else you want to share because you've been traveling. You've we went to Arkansas together. We had a blast. I don't. You can share anything you want. Go ahead.
That was a wonderful trip, and I picked
Wasn't
up.
it?
Yeah, it really was really sweet. It was what we needed. We're all going through such amazing changes right now, and it's happening so quickly. I think most of us feel like we need to fasten our seatbelts from time to time. Um, this morning or yesterday, I can't remember, Tammy said, bring your crystals. And so I've got them all in front of me on a grounding pad, the mouse pad for my computer. And I don't know, probably a lot of it is you guys, but I lined them all up here. And as you were talking, I was just moving different ones for no apparent reason, just what my hands wanted to do. And I I'm getting kind of a buzz of these things, which I'm enjoying very much.
Love it.
Uh, Two of them, maybe I don't know if I showed these to Dana yet, but this is from Tony Ghazi, and this little one. So I got this little one that I travel with that I throw in a suitcase, and I have it. I can hold it when I meditate. But they're two mantis. Well, they're different minerals. I'm not sure you'd call them crystals, but then I've got a bunch of things. Um, some that I got that Christy recommended, a green alabaster egg. Um, this is from Brazil when I went down years ago to spend time with John of God. A lot of these are a lot of these are from Arkansas. So if nothing else, I think they do have intrinsic value, but if nothing else, they're such nice memories, just when I pick them up. So I'm having fun. I'm having fun playing with these things. When Vic was talking about everything is love, the metaphor that always comes back to me is, of course, I'm a lover of chocolate. I love I love sweets, and it's like if you use the metaphor of chocolate, if everything is made of chocolate, it doesn't matter if it's a chocolate tiger or a chocolate angel or a chocolate bunny rabbit, it's all chocolate. So that translates to the message of love, that even things that we think are not appealing or that we think are dangerous, they're still composed of love. And just remembering that to me is such an important thing. And of course, I bring it back to chocolate because that's a more concrete thing that I can certainly relate to. Oh, and in addition to all these crystals,
You can want to add chocolate.
I've got
You,
this little guy. What did you say, Vic? You're kind of cutting out there.
chocolate and love have the same chemical reaction in your body.
Yeah,
Oh,
it does work. It works literally and as a metaphor, I think. And, on Valentine's Day, people give chocolate. And so I think it is associated with love for a number of reasons. Tammy and I and Aaron went to more than once. We went to this cupcake shop on the main drag of Hot Springs. In fact, I think the third time we were there, uh, I forget how it came about, but the young girl clerk said, "This is your third time here, or you were here yesterday, you were here last night." So, and we got laughing. So every time we walked by, we had to feel like we were sneaking past the place. But
it's called fat bottom cupcakes. It was
Fat
in the
bottom
big
girls.
box, and they couldn't get enough. And some really, really good cupcakes, by the way.
Very good.
Um,
Very good.
yeah, I have the crystal you gave me, Dana. I'm trying to put it up there.
Yep.
It's Yeah, and I like to meditate with it, but I actually saw a mandala come out of it. So anyway, the mandala represents oneness. And when you talk about there's information in crystals, there are a couple that I used, and I remember when I got this one, the smoky quartz, it I felt like it was buzzing. I bought it in Sedona. And when I stuck my hand on it, it went bzz. I thought, well, am I what? So, but there are lots of crystals, like, I don't know, I just pick them up. But I use them on healing sessions with people. And I could feel like the energy would move around on people when I would put them in places. And I didn't learn how to do it, but I just started doing it intuitively. And I sleep with them in my bed. Sometimes I meditate with them on me. But the grids, you can actually set an intention, develop a method, clear energy fields with them. They're powerful. And you put them all together, all these different types of information. And this grid, I got a lot of information on it because I've just got them from all over places I've been, gifts, and I don't know which one is my favorite, but they do have memories. Like there's certain ones that I got I got this one at my. Let me show you. I got this one at my first Joshua retreat. It was a gift from a girl, and it's really nice. So anyway, I got the Lemurian crystal in Sedona. No, I might have got it in New Mexico. I got this one at an Indian powwow, but I've been wearing it lately. So anyway, I get them as gifts, and they're pretty, and they hold energy and information in them, and I love them. So we actually went and dug up some crystals. But it was really interesting in Arkansas where we went, they were just everywhere. It was just everywhere. And we were digging them up. So, yeah, Dana.
I just wanted to share that the crystal I gave you is also from Sedona, and I figured I'd show you one other grid because we've been discussing this, and you mentioned Metatron earlier, and here on my altar you can see my Metatron grid.
Oh, look how nice that is. That's beautiful.
So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you.
Really is nice.
Yeah. Well,
And I love this crystal. I love this little water dish here with the different chakra colors, right? And it's a
that's nice.
crystal water bowl. So the water stores information as well and is a powerful conduit. And there's Sekhmet, Tami.
I see that. I see that. Yeah. I did light a candle today, and this one is relax. It's just a white candle with essential oils in it, but you know, so I'll set an intention and put this on, by my grid and all that, and I have crystals all around too, and yeah, but water is very conductive to energy. And you can speak into your water and bless it and drink it, and it's really cleansing and purifying. So I don't know if any of you wanted to talk about alchemy. We did read a book. I will mention it. We all sort of had a connection to it, the 12 Grades of Alchemy, and the imagery in it is really nice. It's one of Daniel's spirit guides. I do like some of the. There's some. I've actually had visions of some of this stuff. It's really funny, this one, it looks like, I think I had a vision of my parents like in a scene like that before exaltation. Anyway, there's some interesting, but the idea of alchemy is turning lead into gold or stone into another substance. And it's anyway, I was going to just share some of the images, and it's not an easy book to read. Oh, they've got the ones with the dragons. I like that one too. I just try to get it into focus. There you go.
I was drawn to that one too.
Yeah. So anyway, the imagery, you with alchemy, it starts with the element of, and it talks a lot about the elements. And so one of the first stages is fire, and it burns things down, which some people call the dark night of the soul. And then you move through the other stages of alchemy all the way through it, and then you start all over again. It's sort of like moving up into higher perspectives is the way I would I don't know if anybody else feels that way about alchemy. And I mean, it's philosophers, and it's interesting. And I've read some other books on alchemy. This one is one that I would recommend, and I like this image too. So this is the image of a mandala that people would meditate on. Oh, it's not coming in clear. I can't get clear. Anyway, it's like a sun. Focus. Okay.
That's it.
Okay. So they would meditate on a mandala and move through the stages. But this one is the Emerald Tablets, Personal Alchemy for Transformation by Dennis Hawk. And I like some of the imagery in it. There's information in art, so you can actually, you can read it. There's a lot in this book, and it's been a while since I read it, but I did learn a lot about alchemy from this book. And alchemy, it's understanding that you go through things in life, and then you move up, and you kind of go back down, and you transform the obstacles or the darkness into light. And that chaos, that energy creates new powerful expansion in your life. When you're in it, you don't like it, most people, but you move through things in ease or joy. And that is what the seeker is usually doing throughout their path. And there's many ways to use out, or, it's just a term that we use, but it's an ancient term. And another way is magic. So, setting intention, calling in angelic names, using words of power, adding elements and planets to your meditations can be very powerful and beneficial, and you can actually feel the energy of angels or spirit guides or anyone. Okay, Vik, go ahead.
I was gonna say, even like the idea, even reflection, self-reflection is a form of alchemy. Like, what I was talking about earlier, which is like going from compassion and all of those other emotions to just pure love. It's pretty much the same thing, taking all of these rocks and turning them into gold, finding the gold within them and just believing the gold. So it's there are many ways you can do alchemy. You don't even have to use the term alchemy, and you can still do it simply by, like, if you're not into crystals. Like, I'm not into crystals.
Right.
I'm not even I didn't even get drawn towards the book, so I didn't really read it. but in my own way, I am alchemizing. I am doing alchemy. It's just that I don't call it that. But it's so reflection is I think is a beautiful way of alchemizing and seeing what that does to your reality.
Yeah,
Seeing,
it's an old esoteric term. However, you know, I look at it as transformation or transmutation. You know, and so you're right. There's many ways, and true wisdom comes from within. So you really don't need the books. These books these are just games we play. Okay, I'm going to read this book, and I'm not serious about books, but I have read a lot of books because I like it. And I think some of us are librarians and grid workers, and we like to play with elements of earth. And to me, like, crystals are just an element of earth, so you're really just grounding in with them, and they're not necessary, but they're one way to play, just like sound and music. That's another way. There's if you go to older forms of transmutation, you're going to have the elements of fire and wind and spirit, earth, all these things. You're going to have all these elements, and they're available to you. But you can just walk outside and ground too. And Daniel has a really cool beamer mat, and we laid on it, and they're doing grounding and earthing mats. You can also, just walk on barefoot on the earth. There are natural forms of everything. And, I know that there are many ways, and these are just terms. We use all the forms in the quantum flow class. So, we use perspective shifts, and we use manifestation event forms and things like that. And you're really just redefining what's happening in your life. And you're stepping up with higher vibrational words and feelings and emotion. But, the key to alchemy and magic is really transmuting lower based emotions into higher based emotions and feelings. Like, even with the ritual, if you'll feel it in your heart, know it, you can infuse your life with miracles, magic. It doesn't matter what term you use, but there are lots of ways to play the game of life. And in an alchemy, basically, you are moving through your life and you're experiencing your whole life, and then you'll look back on it and say, why didn't I enjoy that more? That's what people do when they transition. And in magic, it's called the great work. And in spiritual, and then that actually means just purifying yourself of lower based emotions, fear, doubt, worry, shame, guilt. You're just actually just transmuting that, developing a system that works best for you. So for me, I like to play with angel magic and light language and crystals and all this stuff. It's just a game to me. I don't really take it that seriously, but I do love to play with it. And evidently Daniel does too. And you don't have to join their bandwagon. We still love everything about you, Vik.
thank you. No, it's about having an open belief system, and also, you know, some things resonate with you and some things just don't. Like for me, activations resonate quite a bit with me. Like I love activations, and I didn't really have a very open mind going into activations. I was like, I don't know what this is about. Well, because I just have to listen to them. What can happen, right? Like, and it's I've had some incredibly profound experiences with these activations, like the first ones that we did in 2024, and then the new 7-day activations that we're doing now. Each of them is incredible. Like it's not so much about like getting visions and all of that. It's like what changes I am noticing within myself. Like I can tell that my thoughts, there is more clarity to my thoughts with each activation that I do. New ideas are coming into play. New experiences are coming into play, which are just incredible. So I love activations. Similarly, crystals, like you guys who are having fun with crystals, as you said, it's all just toys. These are all
Oh, it is.
things that
It's a game. I love the activations too, and I've done a bunch of them in person. And I'm doing this 7 rays now, and I feel like I actually saw like a soul contract. It was a vision, it was a flash, and I could see the words on it, and I got 2 specific messages. And I thought that was very interesting. One that I wasn't really, I, I don't know how to say it. I was surprised. I was
the mini
surprised.
activations on text, like from time to time, those are pretty fun to do as well. So thank you for sending those to us. Like I really
Yeah,
feel
and
for
I sort of like the ones in person that I do. I got more clarity about that, and then um, you know, but probably in the last year since I've been doing the activations. Um, Yeah, I've had a lot of crazy visions and a lot of some of it I was not in alignment with, and some, it took me a minute. I felt like, I think I had a little resistance to speaking light language in the beginning, and did it before all of that, but once I started doing it, it just feels like you're just flowing love. I mean, it feels so good. Now I just, as Christy says, I just go on the road with it. It's like so cool. And, like magic, it's working. I have to say, between the classes, the boot camp, the quantum flow, and the activations, I see it working. I'm seeing miracles. I really am. And it's kind of interesting. Um, how about you, Daniel?
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I find the intensity of things, the intensity is growing. Um, I'm going through this thing and I've been going through it since I met you, Tammy, a few years ago. You remember the first night when we got together in Savannah? I lost my stereo microphones, which I have in my ear. The stereo microphones, when you turn your head, it changes the orientation of the sound. So if you're walking along a beach, the ocean sounds will be coming from this side, and the beach sounds, the people sounds might be coming. It gives you a nice stereo thing. So, of course, we were walking along and I lost those and had to retrace my steps. And that's been the story for my last bunch of years, just losing stuff. In Hot Springs, I left my GoPro on a public bench in like 25 minutes later, went back to get it, and some kind soul had turned it into a shop right there. So so here's what I'm noticing. I'm going to tie this all into alchemy. It starts out with the real frustration, like really angry at myself. How could you be so absent-minded? Why are you always losing shit? Because I am. So and the intensity of that has grown, and the intensity of the language that I use in relation to that has grown too. But here's what I'm discovering, and I'm tying this into alchemy. I discovered a while back that once I get done going through the frustration and the cursing and all this stuff, why does this happen? Why are you so stupid you leave your stuff around? I'll decide to sit quietly and ask my guides. And again, am I asking my guides? Am I asking myself? Am I just getting grounded? It almost doesn't matter. But when I do that, within minutes, I will walk over and find the thing that I'm missing. So the latest thing that I was missing, I have Invisaligns now, and I took them out in my car to eat something. And then when I went to go into my house, when I got home, I went to pick them up, and my SPAC badge, my identification badge, the Invisalign was on top of it. And I picked it up and it flipped the thing up in the air and it came down and I couldn't tell where. I thought it must have fallen between the seats. So I'm cursing and moving the seat forward and back and this and that. I spent a lot of time and a lot of cursing energy to deal with that. And then I went in, and probably an hour later, I decided just to sit quietly and see if I could determine where that thing was. So I sat quietly and asked the guides for help. Uh, and I went out to my car, and it was sitting on the black carpeting of the car, and it was kind of apparent. I mean, it was, if you were looking for, it wasn't like hidden behind something. So I'm having that experience of alchemizing the angry, critical, self-judgmental thoughts into just an acceptance and a willing to receive help, either from myself, from my subconscious, or guides, or whatever. So what that does is, after I get done with all that whole rigmarole, I feel kind of blessed. I feel kind of good that I have this guidance that, so I start with the anger and the frustration and finish up with gratitude. Now, somebody quicker than I am would pass through those stages faster. And as soon as he or she lost something, would say, no, get grounded, and then you'll find out where it is. But I have to go through the whole rigmarole. I have to do a fair amount of cursing and this and that, recrimination, self-recrimination. But then I get to that point. But again, it's that game. And I think it takes me longer to get to the finish line of that game than it would a lot of people, but it is what it is. So, but that's
Well,
happened lots and lots and lots of times where I've lost something and then it just turns up in a not so hidden a place. So go figure.
it's like your spirit guides are playing games with you.
Yes. Yeah.
They're tricking you.
It
Anyway,
feels that way. It feels very playful when I get done with the anger.
and now you're laughing about it. I
And
mean,
now I'm laughing about it and I feel good about it.
yeah, that's good. And that is what the word means. It's it's just a way, and I think of alchemy in forms of energy, like gold. You are the gold. You're the golden. You're turning all of the things you think are wrong with you into gold. But it's the entire journey. It's not one step at a time. So it's letting go of judgment. Of I often think if I lose something or someone takes something from me, I'll say, "Wow, they might need it more than me." I really tell myself things like that. I don't. I mean, I don't. I lose things. I can't find things sometimes, but not. I mean, it's not a like and usually someone has moved it or there's something going on. Um, but I don't usually sweat it anymore. But I do remember being upset. um, Maybe I got lost or something like that. Why be hard on yourself? Well, there might be something over here I need to see. But traveling with Daniel is like a breeze because he really just floats around and has fun, and we just eat cupcakes and climb mountains and
We do.
laugh and cook and well, we didn't cook much, but we did cook
We
breakfast.
did.
um
Yep. We did.
we
Aaron was in charge of that. She's so good.
Yeah, we looked at gangsters and the gangster museum. But anyway, it was just a really fun adventure. So I've had a
It was
couple of fun
wonderful.
adventures with Daniel, Paris and Hot Springs. Oh, the baths are amazing there. Wow. And the water. I don't know what's in the water there, but there's something in the water. It makes the
Amazing.
best moonshine in the world, according to the gangsters.
Al Capone wouldn't lie.
How could he?
No, one thing that we have to do, and I always love leaving a place with a reason why I want to go back to it. We never went to the spring waterfall in the park.
Oh,
We talked about it, in front of kind of kitty
I thought
corner
we
from the.
saw it, but okay. I
Well,
mean,
at a distance we saw it,
oh,
but
I
when
see.
we left the hotel, we were going to go over and see it. So I was thinking as I was driving back, gee, we never actually went and experienced that. So that's a good excuse to go back again. I'll just double back just a little bit. What I was talking about, the anger when I lose things. I think the anger is the fire
Oh
that
yeah,
I need
the
to
fireball.
burn through the dross, the fire to
Yeah,
burn through
yeah.
these
It's the
things,
first
which is
stage.
why I can't short circuit it and just lose it and then sit quietly, get guidance as to where it is and get it. I have to go through the fire. At least that's the story I'm using, and I'm sticking with it.
Oh, that might be all that it is needed. So, there are other stages behind that, and you're moving through them really quickly. Um, I will say that, I just feel like this year is like if you went through the stages, whether you do 7 or 12 stages, I feel like this year is like one of the ones like the multi pioneers. So you like cleaning up your limiting beliefs and low perspectives and lower based energies. I really feel like you can manifest things really quickly right now. So, focus your attention on that, what you desire, and then, create some of that. So, in a playful, fun way, like Daniel, I think he's really amazing um, to be around and have fun with, and Daniel too. I mean Dana. Yeah, Dana.
How did you guys decide on Arkansas? Because that is on my list. And when you guys, I happened to text you that day, right? Of course. And you guys sent me that photo of all of you in Arkansas together. And I was like, of course they are there. And I was drawn that I didn't know those crystals you showed earlier were the ones from Arkansas. But when you sent me that grid the other day, Tammy, I immediately went to the ones from Arkansas.
Oh yeah,
So,
these
uh,
these tiny ones and this one, and I could have gotten
the
a lot
big,
more, but I was
yes.
flying back. This one, um, I was looking for points, and these two little ones. I mean, I was just walking around like Aaron was digging and digging and digging.
She
Daniel
was a
didn't dig
hard
at
worker.
all. Daniel didn't get dirty, and I was like
No, I was
walking
picking
around.
things up from the surface and
Yeah,
wandering.
and these two, I walked over, and I just would look on the ground and pick one up.
Where were you that it was just
It,
piles of crystals?
it was
About
at
about
a
10,
crystal
12
mine, and
miles north of
they
Hot
dig it up.
Springs.
Yeah, we can send you the name of it if you ever go. They dig it up, and they they gather the big ones, and then they sell the big ones probably, and the ones they can sell. But like the remnants, they just kind of throw it over on top of a field, so you can actually dig in the dirt,
Amazing.
and you're not going to find like huge ones or anything, but it's just fun. Like you're just walking around finding all these crystals, and these are, I could have found I don't know how many tons of them.
Yeah.
Well, I just picked up a few because I was like, I'm not carrying all that back on my suitcase. I was flying. If I'd been driving, I probably would have had a truck full. Like I need that. I've got all these crystals, so I don't need them. But Daniel came up with the idea to go there. But
Well,
I,
it started with Tony Ghazi, and
Ah,
Dana connected me to Tony, and I got a reading. And maybe about two-thirds of the way through it, um, Tony, when he was channeling, said that he saw me on a road trip and there would be something very spiritual. He said, "You don't know where you're heading now, but you will be going someplace. And within 3 or 4 days, I had 3 hits on Arkansas. Aaron sent me a message saying, "Hey, I found this place in Arkansas where you can dig up crystals." So I said, "That's interesting." And then I watched a reading that Daryl had, and Peter D, is it? Or
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
The one who
said
channels
that,
Gaia.
said that he would be going to Arkansas, but he might go to someplace else first. So I got 3 hits, and I could go like 2 years without thinking about Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas is nice, but it's not something too much in my consciousness. And after that, I got 3 hits. So we had been talking in general about doing little mini get-togethers, little mini retreats, whatever you want to call them. So we decided to do Arkansas, and it was magical and it was wonderful. So I hope you and Vic can do it with us when we do our next thing. We're tentatively thinking Mount Shasta sometime. We want to do that. Um,
Yes, a major one on my list in a conversation about it yesterday. And it was interesting, Tammy, when you invited Gabriel in earlier, a person named Gabriel said to me, "When are you going to Mount Shasta?" And they said September. How's September? And I was like, that's interesting. I was like, find me on Instagram and message me. And so seems Mount Shasta is only a little drive away from me from Vancouver. And so yes, I would love to see you there. Love
Oh,
that.
that would be cool. Yeah, I want to go to Mount Shasta. Yeah, I
and
think
that's another Sasquatch place too, Tam.
oh,
Ah,
Sasquatch. Yeah, and
which I
so
was also in a question about because when I drove to pick I was about to call him Bodie Dobson. Bodie returned, reincarnated. We drove to Burlington, Washington, which I didn't know was a Sasquatch place, and we passed by the Bigfoot Museum. This is 2 days ago,
oh
right?
yeah.
So very interesting. And I had a Sasquatch. I told you, Daniel, in Orlando. I had a vision of a Sasquatch, and I was like, it was peeking through these bushes, and I was like, "What's this homeless man looking at me through these bushes?" And I was like, "It's Bigfoot." I was like, "I never think about Bigfoot. Why am I thinking about Bigfoot?" And now I know more, but very interesting.
Yeah, I will say I like to go to springs, whether they're cold or hot. So I've been to them, all over. I've been to them in New Mexico, Iceland, probably been to, I don't know, half of them in Florida, probably. And I mean, I've been doing that my whole life. So, like, I'll go sit in the springs. I swam in the spring water when I was a kid in around Tampa, and then um, I so I have traveled to places just to go in the hot springs, and and like in New Mexico and stuff, because there's minerals in each place that's different, you know. So when you get into the springs, they're really cleansing and clearing. And like the Iceland ones, you go from hot to cold, and that's what we did in hot springs. The one we went to was the Quapaw, which was the Indian Springs where the Indians began. They um they would go there and lay down their weapons, and everybody would sit in the springs, and then the criminals started coming and hiding out, and then the gangsters. So anyway, it's a really interesting place, but it's like always been a peaceful place. So it had a lot of peaceful gangster energy. But the water there, I feel like people used to go there in the 20s to heal from polio and syphilis and things like that. But so when he mentioned it, I had been there. I had been to Arkansas once, but I just automatically knew, oh yeah, I need to go there. And yeah, Mount Shasta sounds fabulous. So we do need to go there. Also, Daniel wants us to come visit him in New York. So
But I'm outside Saratoga Springs, so we have our own mineral water here that people used to go to for healing. There's a guy that I know who wrote a kind of a pamphlet kind of book on the properties of all the different springs around Saratoga. They've each got their own taste and their own supposed healing qualities. It's pretty cool.
okay. So
I
yeah.
would love that. New York is certainly on my agenda as well to see Daryl, as well
Yeah,
as
me too. He's like,
another friend of mine who was just here for a week, a prodigy musician, and who's going to be a part of the Joshua group. Just an enlightened being, 22 years old, just brilliant, so beautiful to be around his energy. And he's going to Cornell Tech on Roosevelt Island. So I want to go to New York City and see Daryl and him. And then I have a twin sister in Ithaca, which isn't too far away from you, Daniel, I don't think.
Not too far.
Yeah, so I would love to make a trip of that sometime.
Yeah,
that's
I'd love to have you here.
mm. Yeah, he's fun to be around and
Know it.
fun to play with. And okay, I'm going to stop recording now. Thank you, everybody. I just send you love and peace and divine abundance today.
Thanks so much. You
I'm
too.
Having us.
grateful for all of your input and many blessings to you this week.